you're live right now. Having a fun start to the stream now with a post-op van. Okay. Streaming a lot earlier today. Hello everyone. How you guys doing? I hope everyone's having a great day today. Hey Orion, hey everyone. Well, congratulations, Geek. I'm happy, Geek Simmer, I'm happy for you. I'm good, Aki, how are you? Hi, Luca. Also, another part of GTA San Andreas up later today, guys. Is there summer in Alaska? Of course. But summer in Alaska is more like, you know, at max like 70, 80 degrees, not, you know, 90, 100 degrees like in a lot of other places. Oh, are you okay, Golden? Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, the next part will be probably, Big Smoke's order. Wait, what did you say, Aki, on it? Hey, Bunny, how are you, man? Well, I guess it would depend on the part of Alaska, but... I love your crazy current events videos. Thank you, Phoenix. Well, I do the alternate phone calls throughout the story of Las Venturas with Truth, Torino, and when CJ is fat. Oh, maybe I could think of something to do for that. Yeah. I actually already have those phone calls recorded, so I could just probably show them in a video, or in the playthrough as I'm going through it. No, I'm not in Alaska. My parents were born in Poland. A while ago, you said you wanted to do a vending machine business. How's that going? I haven't started that yet. I haven't really done the tier challenges in GT Online much. What's the most fun heist finale? Casino heist, yeah. My favorite snack, maybe, like, for my favorite snack, it might be, like, Wisconsin, maybe, actually, no, it might be Fritos, like the Fritos twists, that's what it might be. Yeah, 1.3 billion, grinded a lot. Hey, Pro, what's the beef with... Wait, what are you talking about, Goose? Wait, what, Otto? What's going on? Thoughts in a car wash business. They can be good, but I will tell you something, if I was to purchase a car wash business, I would purchase a self-service business, a business where, I don't need to hire people, and people wash their own cars. That's basically what I would do if I was buying a car wash business. Hey, what's up, you guys? What's my favorite GTA San Andreas radio station? Either Radio Los Santos or Radio X. Yeah, I've heard people say that, Luca. Wait, it's in GTA 6, Ion? Oh, okay, Joker. How are you, dude? Wait, what? He made a video about me, Goose? Hey, Nikki, how are you, man? Well, Modern Warfare 3 sucked. The story was terrible. Anything is better than Modern Warfare 3 at this point. You need to have some people maintaining the self-service car wash. Yeah, but the thing is that you do that all on your own. Is that if something breaks, you hire somebody, to take care of it. But there's a difference between having, hiring people to maintain it if something breaks and having employees. That's the thing I'm saying. I'm not able to play with you. I work full-time. It sucks. I don't have free time. Please don't unfriend me on PSN. Agent Reaper, don't worry about that, man. I'm not going to unfriend you. Is that... Literally, there's only 2 reasons that I ever unfriend somebody on PlayStation. And you don't fit those 2 reasons. And the only 2 reasons why I will delete somebody on PlayStation is, 1, if they do something really bad. Cause some kind of drama or just, something nasty. Then, like, I'm going to remove them. But, you're not doing that. And the second thing is if the person's been offline for more than a year. If the person's offline for more than a year, then I'll delete them. But that's not you. You're still occasionally online. So even if you don't appear offline for more than 12 months in a year, I'm not gonna delete you. So if it's like if I just see like 12 months in a year offline, I usually delete. But if it's like other than that, yeah, I don't really delete people. Thank you, Agent Reaper. GTA San Andreas 20 years old is old enough to vote in this presidential election, not trying to make it political, but yeah. Yep. And GTA San Andreas is older than some GTA Online players. Even GTA Online is older than some GTA Online players, when you think about that. Thank you, Chrysland, for the super chat. No offense, Pro. Would it be cool replaying Red Dead Redemption 2 because it was their anniversary? I will do Red Dead Redemption 2 next year for the anniversary. I wanted to do San Andreas because I thought San Andreas 20th anniversary would be better. And if I did Red Dead Redemption, it would just take so long, and then doing San Andreas and Red Dead Redemption 2 at the same time, it would just throw my schedule completely off. So next year, I will do Red Dead Redemption 2 on the anniversary, the playthrough. Thank you, Eris, for the super chat. Thank you, Zach. Any advice to make a few $100 extra a month? Thank you for the super chat. Well, I don't know how much money you have, Zach, but if you have any money saved up, and I'm not a financial, expert, but I would, what I would do is I would put that money in Robinhood Gold. And Robinhood Gold, I think that it's totally worth it. It's like $5 a month, and if you pay $5 a month, you get 4.5% APY of all the money that you put in there. So you will get 4.5% back of whatever money that you put in there. You will get 4.5% back, every year of that money, and basically for doing nothing. And it's relatively safe. So the money just sits there, and you can take it out any time, and it's like building, 4.5%. It's not like a lot of money, but what people aren't realizing, it's a very safe way to make money, and it's stable at the same time too. So you can basically have your money sitting there and making a little bit more money on top of that. Are there any GTA 4 or GTA 5 characters that I want to return in GTA 6? Yes, Phil Bell. I want to see Phil come back. He's going to be a lot older, but I'd still like to see Phil come back. Yeah, Phil, anyone else from GTA 4 that I'd like to see? Who else could come back in GTA, in the next one? Also, yeah. I think that El Rubio is definitely going to be in GTA 6. You remember me, right? Hey, can you add me Eris ZH? Well, what's your PSN? Eris ZH? Because there's a space in it. You can't have spaces on PSN names. Thank you, Captain Beastwinger. And thank you, Aria Akiva. Hey, Pro, love your streams and vids. A question for you in chat. Who's more badass, Johnny Gat or Trevor Phillips? I think Johnny Gat. Johnny Gat is just, I think Johnny Gat is just personally a tougher guy than Trevor. Like, that whole scene of, like, Johnny with, like, the katana fighting in, yeah. Fighting in the house, I don't think I could imagine, like, Trevor doing that. Hey, Pat, remember how annoyed you were about our teammate? Well, I wasn't really, or mad. I wasn't really mad, but I was annoyed. I'll be honest on that. Yeah, for people wondering, we were playing a match of DMZ on Modern Warfare 2 last night. I played DMZ a lot, and we had 2 matches in a row where the third guy in our squad was not cooperating with us. He would just run off, like he would not stick with the team, and I got a bit annoyed by that. I just cannot stand it when people play like games that require teamwork and they don't work together and they just run off. I've never liked that playstyle. Thank you, Jacob. Hello, Pro. How are you doing? I'm doing good. Thank you for sponsoring my channel for 2.5 years. Thanks, Jacob. You know, most really annoying and hate character than Jack Doherty is, Bad Baby Cat. Wait, what? Who is that? Thank you for the super chat, Agent Reaper. Can you sue a prosecutor for falsely accusing you? That's a good question. I don't even know the answer to that one. You can sue the prosecutor if there has been some kind of, if there's been some kind of error and they knew about it, then you could probably sue them. But if it was just like the legal process and you were found not guilty, I don't think that you could really sue them, no. So if there was something wrong with the trial, you could probably sue them. Used to watch you years ago. How are you, dude? What's the only time the orbital cannon is okay? It's never okay. The most dangerous Saints Row 2 villain, Dane Vogel. Still planning on replaying Max Payne 3 and Watch Dogs Bad Blood? Yes. I just don't know when I'll get around to it, but I'll play them. I cannot write my PSN name because YouTube doesn't let me. Oh, well, I don't know then, dude. Then a lot of other people are able to put their PSN names in that. I'm not sure then. Did I watch Dark Viper's GTA Guesser video? Yes, I did. When are you gonna buy a Mustang GT? Never. I'm that type of guy that this isn't even my car, this is my friend's car. I'm that type of guy that if I have a car, I'm gonna keep driving that car basically forever. That's the type of guy that I am. So like my car, I've had my car since 2017, and I have no plans to change it, none. So like if I can still drive my car 10 years from now, I still will be driving that same car 10 years from now. The only time I'm gonna change my car is if it gets too expensive to fix. Like if it's like I have a bunch of random stuff that starts breaking in the car and it's just too expensive to fix at that point, and it's just more worth it to put into a new car, then I will. But other than that, I see a car as like something to get me from point A to point B. I'm not a car guy. You know, I'm not really big with that. You know, if I had like, you know, if I had you know, basically when I take a look at my money, I would rather take that money and invest it towards like you know, another rental property or a business. I'm not going to you know, spend it on a car. That's not for me. The way I always look at my money is I look at my money and I basically think like, how can I use my money to make me more money? That's basically, you know, how I looked at money. And so that's not like yeah, I'm not just gonna go out there and buy cars. It's just not for me. What if you get into an accident? Well, it depends how serious it is. If the car is like fixable, I'll still drive it. If it's like, you know, totally wrecked, I'll get rid of it and get a new car. But oh god. Can I help you this stream? Sure, Golden. And Ryan, I can add you, but I can add you after the stream, okay? I just can't add during the stream, so I can add you after. Just dropping by to say have a great stream. Thank you, Manix. Thank you for sponsoring the channel for 2 years. What if GTA 6 releases around Red Dead Redemption 2's next anniversary? Isn't that going to get in the way of your playthrough? Possibly. Yeah, you might have a point. But if that does happen, then I'll just wait until after I finish GTA 6 to do Red Dead Redemption 2. What Dragon Priest is my favorite? You mean in Skyrim? Oh, I don't even remember most of them. Thank you, Jacob. I remember what's his name in Skyrim. What's the name of the Dragon Priest in Solstheim that you fight in the Dragonborn DLC? I forget the guy's name. Miraak, right? That was his name. That's the only guy I remember. That was like a Dragon Priest. I know the Punisher game. I haven't played it, but I want to. What's the combat pistol based on? I think the combat pistol is based on the SIG pistol, but I don't know about the AP pistol. I don't even know if that's a real pistol. Godin is generally, or Godot is generally a good guy in the Ace Attorney series. I'll keep playing the zombies on Black Ops 6 too. CJ says a lot of wild stuff during free roam, like telling a female NPC, no wonder your man sleeps with other women, after a negative comment from that NPC. CJ would have got canceled today, today's times. Well, the thing about Chrysler, thank you for the super chat. The thing is, though, is that I don't know if a game like San Andreas would come out today. That's the thing is. Like, if San Andreas was a new game coming out today, I don't know if a game like that would come out today. The next 63 days part, probably on Monday. I'm just sorry, I've just been so busy with just so much stuff, but... Have I seen the Inside Edition video on insurance fraud? Yes, that happened in New York. It happened in Queens. They backed up into them, and then they tried to, you know, get money from them. You think Kane and Lynch would make great characters for Payday? Oh, yeah. That would be awesome. If they did, like, a Kane and Lynch DLC for Payday, that would be great. But they would have to cooperate with, who owns the right to Kane and Lynch right now? It's, yeah, they would have to cooperate with the developers on that. But yeah, Kane and Lynch are Heist members, so yeah, they would have been perfect for a Payday DLC. There's Miraak, Valor, the Jailer, Asdal, Dukan, and Zach Pros. Okay. Do you think we will be able to transfer anything from GTA Online to the new version that will come out with GTA 6? I think rank. You're definitely... Rockstar is definitely not gonna let you transfer the money. So this money that you have, this billion, you know, or this, for me, the money that I have, like this 1,300,000,000, this is definitely not gonna transfer over. So like money, they're definitely not gonna let you transfer money over. But rank is the one thing they might let you transfer for. So rank they might let you transfer, because rank is really harmless. But money, they're gonna want people to buy shark cards, so they're not gonna let you transfer that. But me personally, I really don't care about my money. So if I can't transfer my money, it's not a big deal for me. Because you know, I'd rather also start over in GTA 6, have you know work for everything again. But I want to at least transfer my rank. Like I'm rank 1,402. I worked for 10 years playing this game online, and so I'd like to I'd like to at least be able to transfer my rank. At least keep that number around. Why were the Nazis powerful? Well, they started building up a ton of weapons, and they gave people jobs working in factories, and that boosted their economy back. And then what ended up happening is whenever the Nazis invaded countries, how they funded themselves is when the Nazis would invade a country, they would loot that country. They would steal all that country's precious resources and the art, gold, and that's what they would basically use to fund a lot of their conquests. Yeah, we did a lot earlier today. What mechanics do I think should be added to Ace Attorney? Like a mechanic where you can put theories together. Like you have different pieces of evidence and you can create theories. Yes, I will attempt 7 Days Survivor again on Tuesday. That's what I'll do. Pro is killing the playthrough series. Oh, you're enjoying it, Walt? Pro, self-defense is important. The police can't arrest you, right? If someone attacks me or robs me. Well, Sammy, that depends on two things. The first thing that it depends on is it depends on what country you're in. Some countries are much more friendly to self-defense than others. Other countries don't tolerate any kind of self-defense. The second thing that it depends on is it depends on what kind of proportional force that you used. If in a lot of places, if you used like equal force to the force that attacked you, you're generally not going to get in trouble. But if you use, you know, more heavier force than was, you know, some jurisdictions might justify, you could get in trouble. So it really depends on the situation. No, I've never been in a fight. What's my favorite movie-based video game? Scarface. Since you played Oblivion, how well do you know the character, Manny Marco? I probably don't remember him by name. I probably remember him based on what he did. What did he do again? Can you remind me? What quest is he in? What did he do? In Texas, a neighbor shot next-door burglars and got away with it. Wait, what do you mean he shot next-door burglars? Wait, can you explain the situation a little bit more, Art? No, I haven't, Mason. Oh, crap. Okay, here we go. It was a famous case. He saw them stealing from the next door house and killed them. Well, here's the thing. It really depends on the situation. It really depends, uh, it really depends on the situation. Basically, if you see that your next door neighbor is in trouble, like your next door neighbor is getting robbed, and you go over to help him, it really depends on the force that you used, how armed the burglars are. But you have the right to save other people. You have the right to help other people. At least in Texas, in a place like Texas, you can. I can speak Polish well. If someone breaks into a random person's home to rob them, the homeowner shoots at the invader, but the invader kills the homeowner. Would that be a felony or second-degree murder? Well, it would if the person had a gun, then you could make the argument that it was homicide, that it was murder, because they had intended to, maybe they didn't intend to kill somebody, but they intended to break into a house, and they planned to use that gun if needed. So you can make the argument that it was murder. Looking forward to seeing your Yakuza cosplay. Thank you, Simon. You can only shoot the invader if he's been warned and charge the owner regardless of the warning. Well, like I said, Detroit, it really depends on the situation. It depends on what what's going on, how it happened. It depends on if the person was armed and died. It depends on a lot of stuff. But generally in America, in most states, if somebody breaks into your home, you have the right to defend your home. I don't know. I've never played Oblivion. However, I looked him up. Apparently, he's in the quest Confront the King in Oblivion. Do I think my content is slop content because the videos take 1 hour 1 hour long? Wait, what do you mean, Francisco? Do I think that Hitler and the Nazis were involved with the occult and witchcraft? There's a theory on that. And they also made flying saucers. Do I don't know about, like, witchcraft and all. Converted, can you please stop, man? This is getting really annoying. But about the witchcraft is the Nazis were very much involved in, like, pagan rituals. Parts of the SS were, like, worshipping the ancient Germanic gods. So, like, Heinrich Himmler, the leader of the SS, was, like, really obsessed with the ancient Germanic gods, and they did, like, rituals, they did rituals honoring them and such. So, like, I hear these, like, false, like, I hear these false things that people say a lot of times, that the Nazis were like a Christian group, when there really is no evidence for that. Hitler even hated, Christians, and he especially hated Catholics. Hitler hated Catholics the most. So the Nazis were not an atheist organization, but they were not a Christian organization either. But, like, people think that they were, like, when you talk to people, people think that they were either atheists or they were Christians, but they actually weren't atheists or Christians. They actually hated both atheists and Christians. Can you join my CEO after this sale? Thank you, IFB Sal and Otto. Yeah, I did, Flaming Eel. Francisco means that your videos are long and boring and you repeat yourself. Well, if you think that I'm doing something wrong in my videos, can you tell me what I can do to improve? Do I have any outdoor hobbies? Not really, no.
Okay.
Why do you get rude for when we state our opinion? I didn't get rude. What are you talking about? Did you know that the man who was driving in Virtual Court actually had a suspended license? Actually had a valid license. Actually, no, he didn't. We thought that he had a valid license at one point, but he never actually had a license in the first place. The court actually said that afterwards. You like to work out? Usually I like to work out like 3 days a week, but well, they looted a lot from Slavic countries, especially artwork also, Luca. Hey Pro, how are you? I like your GTA San Andreas playthrough. Thank you, Pro Productions. Thanks for the super chat, man. My favorite Daedric artifact is Skyrim. Probably the Ring of Hircine, because you can be a werewolf as many times as you want. Thank you, GoldenEye. Hey man, remember, no need to improve to anyone. Just be yourself. Don't listen to the people who watch you and state their crappy opinion. Well, thank you. Not much, Orion. Tomorrow's my old man's birthday. Happy birthday to your father, Wasabi guy. Well, Francisco, my videos really depend on the game that I'm playing. Because when I'm playing like a game like Ace Attorney, for example, Ace Attorney, I can't do like 30-minute parts on Ace Attorney because it would make no sense. The part that I end Ace Attorney parts, on when it says to be continued. So whenever it says to be continued, that's when I end an Ace Attorney part. That's what I've always done. And like when it comes to a game like GTA San Andreas, for example, the parts are like less long in a game like GTA San Andreas because I'm like focusing on each character's missions. Does Italian fascism hold socialist values? Well, the thing about it is that fascist systems like you saw in like Germany and Italy were very much not free market capitalist societies like people think that they are. Converted, please stop hitting me with that. It's getting a bit annoying. But they, Nazi Germany and fascist Italy were not free market capitalist societies like people think that they were. The economy was tightly controlled, and while private corporations were allowed to exist, private business was allowed to exist, it was tightly monitored and controlled by the government. And the purpose of private business was meant to benefit the government. And if the private business did not benefit the government would seize that business and seize their production. So basically, to answer it, fascism is a controlled economy. You could argue that the economy is kind of socialist in nature, but the social policy of fascism is very much ultranationalism. Let's see here. Sparrow, I need to call that in. Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. Hey man, love your channel. When am I gonna play Metal Gear Solid 2? Maybe in December. I don't know yet. Kai, I like how you talk about history. You don't talk down to people for not knowing something and actually make it interesting to hear about history. Thank you, T00. Thank you, Nikki's, for the super chat too. Do I think Sean would side against Arthur? Remember, he did defend Dutch about Blackwater. Lenny and Kieran would be pretty pro-Arthur. I think that Sean would have backed up Arthur because of because of the fact that Arthur and him had a pretty good relationship up until the point where he died. What do I prefer, the Elder Scrolls or Fallout? Probably the Elder Scrolls, because we haven't had as many Elder Scrolls games as Fallout, at least recently. Pro, what is worse, bonsai chargers or suicide bombers? Well, sometimes they would be the same thing. Sometimes bonsai charges would blow themselves up. So it, do you remember me? Just, you're the guy who runs the vending machine business, correct me if I'm wrong?
Look it.
Yeah, maybe an Elder Scrolls playthrough one day. Okay, I'm gonna need an invite to the CEO, Otto, to help you. What do you think about Yugoslavia?
This is Omega.
I think that
Nice to meet you.
I think the idea of Yugoslavia was a good thing at the start, because the reason that Yugoslavia formed as a country, it wasn't called Yugoslavia at first. It was actually called the Kingdom of Croats, Serbs, and Slovenes. That's what the original name of the country was, and then it was later changed to Yugoslavia. But Yugoslavia formed as a country after World War I, and it was because it was a bunch of small countries that were in the Balkans, and they constantly kept getting picked on somebody. So somebody constantly kept conquering them and taking them over and colonizing them. And so it was the Austrians would the Austrians took them over. It was later Austria-Hungary. The Italians took them over. The Ottomans took them over. And so the Balkan people were just sick of constantly getting rolled over. They were sick of these large imperial powers, these large colonizing powers just constantly coming in, you know, taking over their countries, destroying their culture and their taking the resources. The Italians and the Ottomans were the worst when it came to the occupation of the Balkans. The Austrians were also pretty bad too, but the Austrians largely left like the Balkan culture alone. Like they didn't try to force Serbs to like speak German, not to like the extent like the Italians did. The Ottomans, for example, like heavily discriminated people based on their religion, their language, and so did the Italians. The Italians did not wanted basically people only to speak Italian. And especially the fascists in Italy, like when they had occupied Balkan countries, they were especially brutal. But anyways, about Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia formed as a country. They all formed together in one country so that they could defend themselves from these imperial powers that were constantly coming in and conquering them. And it worked for some time. When Yugoslavia was a bigger country, it was stronger. And, you know, they were, during World War II, for example, Yugoslavia was one of the few countries during World War II that liberated itself. Like, the Yugoslavian partisans, the resistance in Yugoslavia was the most effective resistance in the entire war. Like, they were the best resistance. Like, they were the most effective. Like, the Nazis could not beat them. Like, the resistance in Yugoslavia liberated their country. But what ended up happening is after after World War II, Yugoslavia had its temporary civil war. It was very short, and it became a communist dictatorship under Joseph Broz Tito. And Tito held on to Yugoslavia with an iron fist. He wasn't as bad as Stalin, but he was, you know, a pretty bad guy too. And what ended up happening is, when Tito died in the 1980s, he didn't really leave a successor. And then by that time, there was all these nationalist movements popping up in Yugoslavia, and these nationalist movements started getting stronger, and then Yugoslavia collapsed, and it just blew up into, like, you know, a giant war. And there was just so many wars in the Balkans. So that's the tragedy of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia has a very sad story, because it was formed as, like, one country. It was formed from a bunch of smaller countries into one larger country so that they could defend themselves. But the result was, they ended up breaking apart and started fighting amongst themselves. So that's the really sad thing about Yugoslavia's history. It was a good idea at first. They wanted to form one country to protect themselves from getting conquered, but it didn't work out. People got pissed, and they all started fighting each other in the end. God bless. Thank you, BAN. Love the content pro. If you could pick just 5 activity mini games, golf, pool, to come back in GTA 6. Pool, 100%. Bowling, 100% too. I would see what else can I think of to do, to bring back. Gambling. I'd like to see, like, a casino game too, like from San Andreas. Golf. Yeah, I'd like to see golf come back. And 5th one, maybe skydiving. Thank you, Chug, for the super chat. Thank you, Jacob, and Ryan, for that super chat earlier too. Oh. Is this a police ambush? Oh, that was probably the rarest cell mission in the game. It was just one delivery location. That's the rarest mission. Like, usually something goes wrong. It's usually like multiple drops, or it's like a police ambush.
Great. Oh.
Marcano, I know, is the main antagonist in Mafia 3, but I haven't really beaten Mafia 3. I'd have to see if he's worse than if he's worse than the Mafia bosses in Mafia 2. Thank you, Antonio. I guess I'll help Fear Kev because he invited first. Okay, I know you're just trolling. I'm not promoting gambling. I just said I wanted it back in GTA 6. That's it. In a video game, not real life. Learn the difference, dude. Okay, business here. I think that Hosea probably would have wanted to stay out of this. Hosea probably would have been right there in the middle between Arthur and Dutch, trying to calm things down. That's probably what Hosea would have been doing at the very end.
You doing that?
Well, thank you, JBO. That's Dutch's line, right? Is this the bad mission? Let's see. No, it's the good mission. Okay. What's your question, Giorno? Oh yeah, well sometimes me and my friends would like to roleplay as bikers on GTA Online. I hope that bikers play a big role in GTA 6 too. It's supposed to be Florida, so you'll see a bunch of bikers too. Hey, buddy, how are you? I'm good, Christine. How are you? I'm sorry I didn't see your, I didn't see your super chat earlier. Pro, my into classified programs like Operation Mockingbird, Gladio, or Northwoods. I just learned about these, and I'm open to conspiracies. I've heard Operation Mockingbird in the past. I don't know what that is. I'd have to look into that. I've heard people say that. Like, I've seen a lot of YouTube comments of people mentioning that, but I don't even know what that is. But I do know what Operation Northwoods is. Operation Northwoods, that was the CIA plan to basically invade Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis. That was where they were going to do, like, a false flag attack, and they were going to, like, blame it on Cuba, and then use that to invade Cuba. Thank you, IFB Sal. Oh yeah, well, there's a chance that Petrovic might come back in GTA 6. What I loved about GTA San Andreas is the story felt like a journey going through 3 different cities as well as a countryside and desert. Hopefully GTA 6 will have the same level of storytelling. Yeah, and I hope that GTA 6 is a better countryside, because I will tell you that the countryside in GTA 5 kind of sucks. It kind of does. It's not a good countryside. It's like the countryside in San Andreas had just so much more stuff to do in it. It was just so much more worth visiting. It's like the countryside in GTA 5 wasn't that great, so hopefully GTA 6 improves on it. Thank you, Dillingham, for the super chat. Will I make another video on how to become a gaming YouTuber? Well, I made that video years ago, and I don't think there's really anything that I would change or add on to it. So I would have to look into it again. Why is the countryside in GTA 5 terrible? Because there's not really much to do in it. Where San Andreas, the environments were just so diverse and so much stuff to do. No, I don't think I've really ever been to a concert. Well, Las Venturas is the city, but it technically would be in its own state. It technically wouldn't be part of San Andreas. Do I feel tired after completing cell missions for other people? No, but I like helping people. Thoughts on nightclubs? What, you mean in GTA or real life? But GTA, it's one of the best businesses in the game because... Converted, please, can you stop, man? I've asked you several times to stop ramming into me. It gets a bit annoying. but nightclubs in GTA are a great business because you don't have to put... Once you buy them, you don't have to put any money into it, and it'll just produce. Okay. 1.60 miles. Oh, real life? Oh, I don't really know much about nightclubs in real life, Nikki. I don't think I've ever been to a nightclub. And honestly, I probably would hate nightclubs. This, the loud music, you know, all the flashing lights, probably would not be for me. If you've seen the way Max Payne acted when he was in the nightclub in Max Payne 3, that's probably the way I would act. The only difference is I wouldn't drink. No, I don't mean the violence that happened at the club. I mean how Max reacted to the nightclub. Have you seen the way Max Payne reacted to the nightclub? How he couldn't stand it? It was just pissing him off. That's the same way I would react to to a nightclub. I saw you featured my super thanks in one of your videos. Just wanted to say thank you. Well, thank you also, Jacob. Thank you for the super chat, man, and sponsoring my channel. Well, I just don't like them, Luca. Just not for me. I don't have anything against people that like nightclubs, but just not for me personally. If GTA San Andreas Stories had a prequel, who do you think it would be about? You probably would play as Caesar or Sweet. That's probably who you would play as. No, I'm not in a speed run. Yeah, Saving Private Ryan was a great movie.
Okay.
What's your question about history? Have you ever watched The Dog Whisperer? No. Isn't that the guy that South Park made fun of? Well, I agree with you, Luca. I don't like nightclubs either. Why did Czechoslovakia split into two countries? That I actually don't know about. That happened right after communism collapsed. There was some kind of vote, I know on that, but I don't really know that. That I don't know. Wait, who oh wait, I got on the wrong bike. Trying to get on my When did I graduate high school? 2012. Why did Gran Colombia split up? Well, why Venezuela left Colombia, I don't know. But why Panama left Colombia, that I do know. Panama didn't feel represented in Colombia, and they wanted greater autonomy, and Colombia didn't want to give that to them. And the thing is, though, is that the U.S. supported Panamanian independence against Colombia, and the thing is, though, is that occasionally I'll see comments from people saying that the U.S. had stolen land from Colombia, but the thing is, though, is that most Panamanians supported independence. Oh crap, hang on, there's one up here. Family, power, respect, I guess, but the thing is, mafia families are really nothing about families. Which Ace Attorney moment is your favorite? Probably the truth about Fulbright. Do you think the Panama Canal territory was a good thing? The Panama Canal helped international trade a lot. It was a lot more trade could go through the world now, because previously they had to go up and around South America, which was just so long. Panama Canal shortened that trip by so long. It helped gain Panama its independence and helped make the U.S. a lot of money. I don't think the U.S. controls the Panama Canal anymore today. I would have to look that up. I think that they gave it back to Panama, but I would have to look that up. I don't really talk much about that, Zombie. What do you prefer both in GTA 4 and in real life, bowling or pool? Pool. Yeah, and I don't discuss politics, so please, people, don't ask me how, how I'm gonna vote. And also I'm just a YouTuber. I'm just a YouTuber that makes content creation. I'm not in a position to tell you who to vote for. I've always hated celebrities telling people who to vote for, and so I'm not, I would never do something like that. I'm just a YouTuber. I just make, videos on games and lore, and I'm not qualified to tell you who to vote for. That's it. It's just your personal opinion. Vote for whoever you think is best. One here. What did you think about the U.S. invasion of Panama? Was it justified? Well, Manuel Noriega was a scumbag. He was working with several drug cartels, but at the same time he was basically like a puppet of the CIA, but when the CIA didn't need him anymore, they got rid of him. Well, it's kind of weird that you'd have like a house like that in Bulgaria, which was a communist country at the time, unless it was built before communism, but... Because nobody would be able to own a house like that in Bulgaria when it was under communist time. Yeah, I would say that... I would agree with that. I would agree with that. That George Washington was probably the best president in American history and tried to keep the country united. Like, he tried really not to take sides, and he would try to calm things down between the Federalists and the Democrat Republicans. So he was always like a very neutral guy. He was always trying to keep the country together. Why do the Soviet and German grenades look the same? Well, because the Soviets modeled their later grenade on the style hand grenade that the Germans made. Jak się masz? Dobrze. I'm doing good right now. Worst thing that I saw in New York City. The worst thing I saw in New York City. I would say the worst thing I saw in New York City, the subway system. Yeah, subway. Wait, what do you mean, Kirks? What's that? No, I'm probably not gonna do another playthrough of Vice City. I did San Andreas as a 20th anniversary, but... Well, yes, they are going to be in the list of the top 10 evil criminals. The terrible attitude from New Yorkers. Well, you want me to tell you something? Do you, as somebody from New York, and I can say this about New Yorkers because I'm from New York, do you know what the #1 reason that New Yorkers are so rude? The #1 reason for that? A lot of people falsely believe the #1 reason is because everybody's in a rush. That's why they think that people are rude. But as a New Yorker, I can tell you, the #1 reason that New Yorkers are rude, it's not that they're in a rush. That's probably part of it. But the #1 reason is that they don't have patience. New Yorkers have the least amount of patience that I've seen. Like, they have virtually no patience. Like, they can't wait. They want everything now. And so that's what I'll say about New Yorkers, is that they have very little to no patience, and that's what I think causes the rudeness. I think that's the #1 reason for the rudeness, is the lack of patience. Because I will tell you something, I moved to the Midwest 4 years ago, right? And when I'm in a store in the Midwest, if I'm, like, on a line in the store, and the line's pretty long, then I am just so shocked that I don't see people yelling. Because, like, in New York, if a long line forms, people will start yelling. People will get pissed. And the thing about that is, most New Yorkers are pretty stupid when it comes to this. They will yell at the cashier instead of yelling at the manager. So instead of blaming the manager for short-staffing the workers and not having enough people on shift, they'll blame the cashier, and they'll think that the long lines are like the cashier's fault. So I've seen that happen so many times in my job, and I've seen that happen in other stores that I walk into where New Yorkers will constantly, like, yell at the, they'll yell at the cashier and think it's the cashier's fault. There's, like, such a long line. Why is there no patience in New York? It's just the way New Yorkers are. They're doing everything so quickly, they're doing multiple tasks at once, and so I guess they just don't have patience. It's just the way it is. Well, I will agree with you there that New Yorkers are some of the most honest people in America, but they're very brutally honest. So, like, you know, they are brutally honest. So, like, New Yorkers will say things that they think, even if it's not a nice thing to say. So they'll be brutally honest about it. But I will say one thing. I will say one thing about one good thing about New Yorkers, though. Because we're saying a lot of bad things, but one good thing about New Yorkers that I'll say is that when New Yorkers need to lay into somebody, like somebody's doing, like, bad crap, like somebody's just a scumbag or something like that, they're doing bad crap, New Yorkers are, like, the best people to confront them. So, like, you know, when there's like a, you know, somebody's being like a scumbag, you know, somebody's doing something they're not supposed to be doing, you know, something bad, you know, not honorable, is that New Yorkers are, like, the best for, like, you know, laying into that person and just basically calling that person out. Like, they don't take crap. So they will curse if there's somebody, like, if there's, like, a scummy boss that's, like, you know, taking advantage of their workers, a New Yorker will, like, curse the boss out. But, like, a lot of other places, they won't do that. They won't, like, go for that confrontation. So I'll say it's like some of these really rude and nasty people deserve to get cursed out. Like, some of these, you know, really scummy people. So that's all I'll say, is that if there's somebody that's doing, like, really bad crap, New Yorkers would probably be the best at like addressing the situation and dealing with the person. I could convert it. But yeah, I would say that I would say the best trait that New Yorkers have is that they're very hardworking people, very hard workers. Some of the hardest workers in the country. Like, New Yorkers can multitask really well and can do multiple tasks really well. But the worst trait New Yorkers have is that their lack of patience. That they just cannot wait for stuff. They don't have patience. So that's what I'll say is their best trait is that they work extremely hard. Their worst trait is the lack of patience. What's the difference between CIA and FBI? Well, CIA is a central intelligence agency that operates in other countries. CIA is directly involved in, like, secret operations in other countries and even, like, overthrowing other governments. The FBI is just investigating, like, crimes in America and sometimes crimes abroad if they're affecting Americans. Oh, okay, Assassin Wolf. Can you be a police officer if you have a dry personality and are always blunt, showing no empathy? It depends on the, but it would really have to depend on what you mean by showing no empathy. Because if it's that, like, you're not caring for, like, human life, then, probably you're not gonna get hired. But if you can, like, handle, like, stressful situations without getting emotional at all, like, just being very direct with it, then that actually might help you. So it really depends on the situation. Like, for example, a lot of people accuse, like, homicide detectives, like murder detectives, of having no empathy. They say that they go to these scenes and, like, they don't have much of a reaction. But the thing is, though, is that most homicide detectives do care. The reason they don't show much of a reaction is because they see dead people every day. It's just something they're used to. Doesn't mean that they don't care. I can check it afterwards, Giorno. Thank you, Tactical. Are New York City hot dog stands really as dirty as Hollywood makes them out? Have you ever eaten one? Did it make you sick? I've had hot dogs at New York City stands, my entire life when I was a kid. I don't think I've ever been sick once from it. My favorite snack in New York City from stands was never the hot dogs. The hot dogs were great, but my favorite food in New York City, like the street food, was always like those big salty pretzels, like those big puffy giant salty pretzels. Those were always my favorite snacks. Yes, I remember the 2011 PSN hack. But I have never gotten sick from New York City street food. That's just my experience. So I'm not trying to downplay it or anything like that, but I'm just saying I haven't ever gotten sick from it. What if a game made a parody of you? What you mean in, like, GTA 6? The only game I could think of that could make a parody of me would be GTA 6. But if there was some kind of parody of me, I'd actually find it funny. I'd be like, oh, hey, there, I'm in the game. So is it okay to have a dry personality? Well, you want to have people skills as a police officer, but as a police officer, you also have to be very direct with people when they're not listening to you. So it's like you want to be nice and respectful to the public, but also is you want to be able to deal with bad situations, or like de-escalate. That's what I would say. Bad situations. How would they parody you? I don't know. The Chicago police shot a 13-year-old in 2021. What happened? I haven't heard about that case. How did that happen? Any acting auditions in USA for Call of Duty or any movies? Oh, there's always acting auditions. But I can imagine being an actor in like a game like Call of Duty would be very hard. Even if you're only voicing like a character that dies in one mission, it would still be very hard. Even when the police are trying to be nice, they take advantage, and their people are always very sensitive nowadays. Well, I would say, do you know what I will tell you about the police though? Is that would I be a Chicago police officer? No. I would not want to be a police officer in general anymore. What do you? I respect police. Don't get me wrong, but I would not just want to work in that field. What was it? About police. I will say, do you know who gets taken advantage of by bad cops the most? You know who? Immigrants usually. Immigrants are usually the people that get taken advantage of by bad cops, and the reason for that is because a lot of immigrants don't know that they don't know that they don't know that in America you have rights. That in America you don't always have to cooperate with the police. So like if for example, like a lot of immigrants might think that you need to show ID or that you need to let the police in your house when they're like knocking on your door, but no, you don't. Like I've had family members like and I'll give you a perfect example of this. Like my family comes from Poland, right? I've had family members that when they first came to America, you know, they were like they were basically like no, don't criticize the government, don't criticize the government. And it's like, you know, why? It's like, you know, they're gonna arrest you, you know, you're gonna get in trouble, you know, they'll come after you and stuff like that. And it was like, no, that doesn't happen in America. But they grew up in Poland, which was a dictatorship. And so like they thought that it was like similar in America. Like they didn't fully understand that like in America that like you can say what you want, you can, you know, call the president an effing idiot and nothing's gonna happen to you. So, you know, you can even go in front of the White House, like as long as you're not trespassing, just like in front of the, you know, public street, and, you know, hold up a sign saying the president's an effing idiot, and, you know, nothing's gonna happen to you. But like I would say it's like a lot of people, they don't know that. Well, yeah, I would agree with you. There's a big difference between a legal and an illegal immigrant, but I'm just talking about immigrants in general. Is that is that a lot of times people that like, you know, come here, they don't understand like all the rights that you have, and they don't understand that you don't always have to you know, cooperate with the police. And one of the worst things that I think people do is when they let the police search their car, or they let the police like search their homes. It's like, you know, don't do that. Don't. The thing is, even if you're not doing anything bad, you don't want to do that, because you never know when the police could do something bad. The thing is, the police could try to find something on you. So like they could try to find some ridiculous charge to throw at you if you let them search your house or your you know, your car. They could try to make something up. They might, some bad cops might even plant evidence on you. It might happen. You know, most cops are good people, but you don't want to take that risk. So if they don't have a warrant, don't let them in. That's just it. And the thing is, you don't have to explain anything. You don't have to explain anything. When the police say why, you just say, you don't have a warrant. That's it. End of story. No discussion. I do talk some crap. What are you talking about, Happy? What crap am I talking about? I don't. How I have lots of acting experience. Well, I don't know, Nikki. It's just generally it's hard for an actor to find a job. Who am I whose CEO am I in right now? I'm in Brandon's. Okay, Converted, join Brandon's MC right here. Brandon, invite Converted. I'll help Brandon with one sale, and then right after that, I'll join Converted's MC sale. But what are you talking about, dude? What crap am I talking about? I don't understand it.
Okay.
But yeah, like, here's the thing is, if the police are ringing your doorbell, you don't have to answer them. You don't. You don't have to answer the door. You're under no obligation to answer the door. If the police have a warrant and they're coming in your house, it's a very different story if you don't let them in. But if they don't have a warrant and just knocking on your door, you really have no obligation to let them in the house. And if you do want to talk to the police, if you want to talk to them and hey, what's up? If they're ringing your doorbell, the best thing to do in that situation, if you do want to talk to them, is step outside your apartment or house and close the door right behind you and talk to them in the hallway or talk to them on the front porch. Don't let them in the house. That's it. Close the door behind you. That's it. They cannot do anything when you do that. And you talk to them and ask them, hey, what's up? What's going on? That's it. But yeah, you don't have to don't let the police search you. Don't let the if they don't have a warrant, they really have no justification to search your car, search your your house. Well, Luca, what I will say about that is that, like, in a country like India, for example, the reason that the police in India are not stopping the scams is purely, number one, because of incompetence. Because the police in, like, a country like India, for example, they think, they look at the situation and they basically think, oh, the scammers are targeting Americans. They're not targeting our people. And so it's not our problem. Americans are rich people, they can take a hit. And that's basically what they think. They think that, like, Americans are rich people and that we don't have an obligation to, like, help American scam victims. So that's why the police, that's why when you watch those videos on YouTube and, like, scammers try to report, YouTubers try to report, like, scammers to the Indian police and the Indian police seem like they don't care, it's because they don't care. It's because their attitude a lot of times is basically that, oh, it's not happening to our people, it's not our people getting scammed, and so it's not our problem. That's the thing. What if you are a witness? Well, if you're a witness, you don't have to testify. Just because you're a witness doesn't mean that you have to testify. You have to testify under your own volition. Police came to my house once, no warrant. They were investigating a suspicious phone call. At first, I didn't want to let them in, but I knew the sergeant, so I knew these were real cops. I let them in. Oh, okay, well, if you know the person, then I guess there's that. Oh, I missed a super chat. I'm sorry. Let me look. Did I hear this? Do you hear the story about the miner who committed sins of a AI chatbot who told him to do it and who had a relationship? Wait, isn't that the story that happened recently where it was like somebody killed themselves because of like an AI bot? Like I heard something about that. Like I had links to that story, but I didn't watch it. I didn't read it. It's like I didn't watch the videos on that. I got recommended a video about that, like a YouTube video about that, like a couple days ago. It's like a teen killed himself because of AI, but I didn't know what that was about. As a fan of the Elder Scrolls, do you think you would like Lord of the Rings? I don't know. I'm just very particular on the lore games that I like, and Elder Scrolls I like a lot. So I don't know if I'd like Lord of the Rings, but I would have to look into it. I did watch some of the Lord of the Rings movies when I was a kid, but I don't remember any of them. I remember the big elf guy with the bow, but I don't remember more than that. You missed my super chat. Oh, thank you, Jacob. I'm sorry I missed your super chat earlier. Yeah, maybe I could do a video on the evil side characters too. Is there any time that the CIA did anything good? Yes. The best thing that the CIA did in its history is when the CIA were still the OSS. So before they became the CIA, they were the OSS, and they were tremendous help during World War II. Like, during World War II, the CIA, or the OSS at the time, they would do operations, you know, behind, like, you know, Japanese and German lines. They would help, like, resistance. They would help, you know, smuggle people out. You know, they would help do sabotage operations against the Axis. One of the best things the OSS did is that they helped bring in thousands of liberators into Nazi-occupied France, and the liberators were basically like they were a single-shot pistol. So like they were a pistol that had only one single shot in it, like 45 ACP. And the purpose of the liberator, the reason they didn't drop them like pistols with like full magazines in it, only one, is because if the Germans captured them, they were no use because it was only like a single-shot pistol, so they couldn't really do anything with it. If the Germans had like captured like, you know, 1911s, they could have used them. So that's why they didn't drop them like full pistols. But those pistols were effective because a resistance fighter, 45 is a pretty strong round. So if it's a gun with only one shot in it, but a resistance fighter in France could basically just take like a liberator, and they could just walk up to a Nazi guard with an MP40 and just shoot them and just take their MP40. That was the purpose of the liberators, just walk up to a guard, shoot them, and take their weapon. And so the CIA did help a lot in that regard, like during World War II. But it was like, you know, after World War II, and when the OSS later became the CIA, honestly, I'm sure there are some good things the CIA did. I'm sure there's some positive things they did, but it's mostly negative. Like, it's mostly just bad things. Like, since the Cold War started to, like, modern day, it's just, like, constant... It's so many military coups, assassinations, you know, helping, like, drug cartels, experiments, you know, it's just... It's destabilizing countries, supporting dangerous groups. The CIA has just caused so many problems. It's done way more bad things than good things. If I was president personally, I would disband the CIA. Like, I would abolish it. Like, I would just close down the entire agency. I would say this is not necessary. We don't need this anymore, and I would just shut the whole thing down. But they would probably assassinate me if I was president, so they probably would not allow that. Will you do more history videos? Maybe. I'm doing the history videos right now in World at War, but... What about reforming the CIA? I don't think you can reform the CIA. I think it's just, it's too much into the bureaucracy. There's just too much corruption there, just too much bad things. I don't think it can really be reformed. I think it's abolishing is the best, you know, the best move forward. The other federal agency I would also abolish is ATF. ATF is the only law enforcement agency that I hate. Like, there is no other law enforcement agency that I hate besides ATF. Like, ATF is the only one I really don't like. I think the ATF does way more bad things than good things. Please wish Mannix a happy birthday. Was on Friday. Oh, happy birthday, Mannix. I hope you had a great birthday on Friday. Was CJ more powerful than Pegorino? Well, definitely. Pegorino is a joke. Thank you, Simon. Fernando, and Jacob. Thank you, guys. I would have to watch how Andrew Garfield talks, but I don't remember. Would I abolish the FBI? No. No, the FBI has done some stupid things, but the FBI has largely done more good things than bad things. It's not like the CIA and the ATF. The CIA and the ATF have just done way more bad things than good things. But the FBI yes, they've done stupid crap before, but it's not to the extent that the ATF and the CIA have done. Annan, you sent me a super chat, but I couldn't see your super chat. You retracted the message. What was in there? Did you want to ask me something? Can the president abolish the CIA? The president can abolish any agency that he wants. He would probably have to go through Congress to do it, but they could really abolish any agency that they want. What else? Secret Service. The Secret Service are generally good. Like, they really haven't done any bad stuff. What's wrong with the ATF? the ATF, the thing is though, most people around the world, if you tell them the CIA, they know what the CIA is, but the ATF is an agency that Americans hate. So the CIA is an agency that's hated worldwide, but the ATF is an agency that's hated in America. Like, if you talk to most Americans, they will just hate the ATF. Like, we hear ATF, it's just not generally a good thing. But the reason that Americans hate the ATF so much is because the ATF is alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. But the 90% of the ATF's resources is into firearms. And you would think that the ATF would be, like, going after, like, cartels, smuggling guns and stuff like that. But a lot of times the ATF is just wasting their time on just stupid nonsense, and they're just harassing people. Like, I think there's, like, a law that if you buy, like, 3 handguns in, like, a single day, I think it is, I think that flag comes up in the ATF's, like, system. And then what the ATF will do is they'll come to your house, like, not without a warrant or anything. They're not going to arrest you, but they'll, like, come to your house and be like, you purchased a bunch of handguns recently, like, can we come into your house and look at them? Like, it was just, like, harassing people like that. It's like, why? It's like, if a person legally purchased, like, 3 handguns in a day, that's not your business. If they did not break any kind of laws, they're not a criminal, they're not a felon, they're legally able to possess that, that's not really your business. But if you ever watch those videos on YouTube, you watch those videos on YouTube where, like, police will be at somebody's house, and they'll be, like, asking them, like, about their firearms, and, like, if they can come in and take a look at their firearms, 90% of the time, those police harassing them are ATF. Like, 90% of the time. So that's all I'll say about that. The ATF, it just wastes its time on such nonsense, like harassing people that, like, purchase firearms instead of, like, actually going after the criminals. So that's why it's just such a disliked agency. Should the ATF be abolished? I think so, yeah. I would get rid of it. Stickman Crime Point. I'll look into that one. Should the IRS and NSA be abolished? NSA can be reformed because there's a difference. The purpose of the NSA, National Security Agency, that's what it stands for. The purpose of the agency is to protect America. That's the purpose of the agency. The CIA, on the other hand, interferes in other countries' affairs. The NSA is just, in practice, the NSA is designed primarily just to protect the country, the United States. So the NSA should be reformed. That's what I think about it. I don't think that the NSA should be abolished. I think it should be reformed. I think it could be reformed. And honestly, I think the best person to appoint as leader of the NSA would probably be Edward Snowden. Like, if you appointed Edward Snowden as, like, the leader of the NSA, he would reform the NSA the best way possible. Like, he would make that an effective agency that is not violating people's rights. I think he would probably be the best person to for that job. But he hasn't been able to come back to America for like a decade now. They're going after him for ridiculous charges, but hopefully he can come back to America one day. Thank you, Rupert, for the super chat. Are you a Democrat or Republican? I don't speak politics, and I don't identify with any of the parties either, too. The party that I identified most with when I was in college was the Libertarian Party, and I generally like a lot of the libertarian policies, but some of them I really don't like. But I agree more with them than I disagree. As a Swede, I'm curious as to how Swedish sounds to you as an American. I'm not sure. I haven't really heard much Swedish before. There is one game that I played that takes place in Sweden. I don't know if you know that. If you go on my channel and you look up a game, Generation Zero, Generation Zero is a game that I played before on the channel, and I did streams of it. And Generation Zero is an open-world survival game that takes place in Sweden. So it takes place in Sweden. It's an open-world survival game. I don't know if you've heard about it, Jacob. You might like it. But that's the only game I've played that takes place in Sweden. Okay, let me help. Converted, I told you that I would help you right after this business sale. I'm gonna keep my promise, don't worry. Invite me to your MC now. I will help you. plot twist was Maria who shot Claude. Oh, never thought about that. Thank you, General's Alert. What about Homeland Security? Homeland Security can stay. It's there to protect the country. What about IRS? IRS does a lot of really stupid crap. A lot of nonsense. So, yeah, I guess you could make the argument that IRS could be abolished. Yeah. But the thing is, though, is that if I had my plan, like my way, you wouldn't even need an IRS in the first place. If I was president, I would abolish the federal income tax. So, like, the federal income tax would be abolished. And what I would do to make up the difference for that money that the government got is I would put in a 1% federal sales tax in everything that you buy. So, like, everything that you buy would have a 1% federal sales tax on top of the state taxes if they have any. And 1% isn't really that bad. It's not really going to make a dent in, like, person buying groceries, but it's going to, help create a ton of funds for the government. The amount of stuff that people buy every single day, especially online and, stores, that would help, fund the government, and it would get rid of the federal income tax. Because honestly, I would rather pay like a 1% sales tax on everything that I buy, instead of like having to deal with just this ridiculous federal income tax at the end of the year that punishes me for making more money. So that's what I would say about that. I never liked the idea of income tax because income tax punishes people for making more money. And so that's why I've never liked it. I hate income tax personally because of that. Can you invite me to your business, Converted? There we go. Cool it, Yagska Cola in that gun. Cool, I'll check it out sometime. Oh, okay. Why not have sales tax apply to all transactions like what they have in Europe with the value-added tax? I don't know what the value-added tax is. But I would say that, yeah, like, I would say that abolishing... I mean, would you guys prefer that, having no federal income tax, but instead having, like, a 1% say, federal tax on everything that you buy? Because I'd rather deal with that. I'd rather have, like, a 1% federal tax on everything, and, the government gets the money that way, instead of having to deal with this ridiculous, federal income tax at the end of the year, and having to figure out my finances and just everything else. And the thing that what I really hate about income taxes is I hate trying to figure everything out, like calculating everything, just figuring everything out. Like, I hate doing that every year. I hate that so much. Can you play Ride to Hell Retribution? Oh, I'll do a playthrough of it. Which do I prefer, McDonald's or Burger King? I prefer the fries and the chicken nuggets in McDonald's, but I prefer the burgers in Burger King. The only sandwich I like better in McDonald's than Burger King is the Filet-O-Fish. I think the Filet-O-Fish is better than the Burger King fish sandwich, but I generally like the Whopper more than the Big Mac. Who started the federal income tax and why? Well, when the federal income tax was formed, in American history, most history, we actually have had more of our history we've actually had with no federal income tax versus having a federal income tax. So federal income tax is still technically a new thing. But about the federal income tax is the federal income tax was created during the American Civil War by Abraham Lincoln to fund the Union Army. And the thing is, Lincoln needed the federal income tax. He needed to do that at that time because he needed to build up an army just so he could defeat the Confederacy, because he needed a way to pay for, like, the Union soldiers, so, guns, uniforms, like, their equipment, their food. He needed a way to get them paid. So at that time, the federal income tax was necessary. But after the Civil War, the federal income tax was abolished because we didn't need it anymore. Because the war was over, we won. You know, Civil War wasn't happening, and so it's not necessary. So really, in times of peace, we really don't need it. You know, it's not necessary, and it's honestly, I've always hated like the federal income taxes because, like I said, income taxes punish people for making more money. It's like the more money you make, the more money the government is going to take from you, and so that's why I've never liked the idea of income taxes because it punishes you for, you know, making more money. I didn't expect you to read the Swedish text, but that was funny. Well, thank you, Jacob. Wait, 6 minutes what? Wasabi guy? What 6 minutes? Well, Buchanan was a loser, and he was like the worst president that we've had in history. And the thing about that is Lincoln tried. The difference between Buchanan and Lincoln is that Buchanan did nothing when the Confederacy was like seceding. Lincoln tried to negotiate. That's the thing is Lincoln just didn't randomly declare war on the Confederacy. He tried to negotiate. He tried to calm things down. Well, they didn't listen to him, and then they ended up attacking Fort Sumter and started the war. So Buchanan was an idiot, but Lincoln actually tried his best. Lincoln was dealt a bad situation, and he tried his best to fix it. The McDonald's close to my house was performing slow. I went there last night, and they took to take my drive-through order. 6 minutes later, I left. Oh. I personally would not go to McDonald's. You know, right now, that E. coli thing that's happening, I wouldn't go there. But, you know, I would say Ricky is, it really depends on what's going on there. Like, they might be busy. They might have, like, a lot of customers. I'm a dual citizen, Sweden and US. Oh, hey, Brandon. Thank you for the super chat. The most evil men in the 21st century, I don't know, I'd have to think about that one. It might be Kim Jong-un. Maybe Kim Jong-un. Yeah, I said it takes place in Sweden. Nice cosplay, professional. Thank you. Thank you, dude. I don't want to have to super chat to get your attention. Well, you don't have to, dude. You don't have to super chat me. It's okay. But what's your question, Phoenix? Did they remove the car part in GTA Online, the Cognoscenti? I really like that car. It's a luxury car. It's fancy. It's also in GTA 4. Is there any way to get it without GTA Plus? That I actually don't know. I'm not a car guy. Can somebody in the comments answer Phoenix's question? He's asking if he can get the Cognoscenti without GTA Plus. Is there a way for him to do that? Does anybody know? I'm not a car guy, so I only focus on the businesses in the game. No, I don't really do the cars. If there is a way for him to get that car, can somebody explain it to him how to do that? One guy says Cognoscenti got removed, gotta buy it off someone. Okay. Yeah, so you need to own somebody that owns the car and buy it for the car meet. No, I haven't gotten the chance to, Dragon Fury. First World War II shooter I remember playing, Medal of Honor on the PS1, and then Medal of Honor Frontline. Well, I like playing GT Online because I like, you know, you guys like me playing this game also, but I also like talking to you guys during the stream. And the thing is, some people watch my streams, they don't even care about the game that I'm playing, whether it's GTA, you know, Red Dead, Dead Rising, Call of Duty, whatever it is that I'm playing. They don't, some people don't care what I play. They just, you know, come by for just the chat and just listening to what I'm saying, like the commentary. Most people don't know that Stalin was worse than Hitler. Thank you for the super chat, NN. And then the Krishnan. What currency is that, by the way? I've seen that symbol before, but I keep forgetting what that currency is. That Indian rupees? Is that one? If I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that, but basically the thing about Hitler and Stalin is a lot of times people are like debating a lot of times, like, you know, who is worse, like, you know, Hitler or Stalin. And what I will say about that is, me personally, I don't understand why people are so obsessed with deciding on who is worse. Both of them have killed millions of people. Both of them, you know, have killed millions of people. Both of them have started horrible wars. You know, Hitler started World War II, Stalin started the Winter War, and he also invaded the Baltic countries. And he also invaded Eastern Poland. So Stalin started a bunch of wars, Hitler started World War II. You know, they both started, you know, horrible wars. They both killed millions of people. You know, they both got rid of political opponents. They both had, you know, opponents killed in camps. It was, so it's like both of them are just really evil, horrible people. Honestly, I don't know why people, like, keep saying, oh, this one is worse or that one is, you know, better. It's like both of them suck. Both of them are, like, you know, horrible, evil human beings. And honestly, we should all be happy that Hitler and Stalin are both dead, because the world is a better place without them. So it's like, for me, I just don't understand personally, like, saying which one is worse, you know, or, you know, which one is, you know, least worse, because both of them just suck. And, like, if you talk to Polish people, you know, they will hate Stalin and Hitler equally. Thank you, Anan, for that super chat. But Anan, what was the currency that you used? Well, Germany's biggest tank technically was not the Maus. The Maus was the biggest tank that they developed, but they actually had the Rat tank plan, which was actually even bigger than the Maus. Yes, Indian rupees. Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, Mao Zedong. And the thing is, all of those guys, they all lived in the exact same time period, like Hitler, Mao Zedong, and Stalin. Well, Mao lived a little bit longer than Stalin, but it was still, they all generally lived in the same time. The Rat tank was massive. It was you know, a giant tank, and the Rat tank, if you want to know how many people operated the Rat tank, it was 100 people. That's how many people operated the Rat tank. It's the largest tank in human history. It wasn't ever developed, so we don't, like, there's no pictures of it because it was never actually made, but there's, like, pictures of what it would look like in the plans. And it fires 2 naval cannons. So 2 naval cannons. That's the thing is. And if you want to know, and there is an example of how big the Rat is. The Rat is the final boss in Sniper Elite 3. So in Sniper Elite 3, the Rat tank is the final boss that you fight, where the Germans have, like, developed the Rat tank and you're trying to destroy it. But that's, didn't it need train tracks? No, I don't think it needed train tracks. I don't know what treads it used, but it was, well, back then, a lot of countries fought the bigger meant better. That's what a lot of countries fought. And the Germans weren't the only people that developed super weapons. The Soviets were too. Do you know the Soviets developed, like, a super giant bomber? And they developed, like, a super giant bomber that had, like, 100 people on it. Like, this giant super plane. Like, it was huge. Like, it's one of the largest planes ever designed. There's only one of them designed. And it was designed in the 1940s, I think it was, and it crashed. But it has, like, all these turrets on it. Like, just go on Google and type in Soviet super, you know, plane, and, like, you'll see a picture of what the plane looked like. And it was an actual design. They only made one, and it was, like, you know, massive. I forget the name of the Soviet plane, but it's like the Soviets made this super giant plane in the 1940s, like a giant, you know, monster of a weapon. Somebody probably in chat knows the plane that I'm talking about, but... Have you ever thought about being a corrections officer? Well, my degree lets me be a corrections officer, but probably not. Because a corrections officer, it's just... Corrections officers, you have to do overtime. You don't have a choice. So they can force you to do overtime. you really don't have that option. And on top of that, corrections officers, you have to deal with, like, these horrible prisoners every single day. So that's what I say. It takes a massive toll on your mental health. Have you ever watched any videos from the channel The Vile Eye, the guy who makes the analyzing evil videos? I think I've seen a few of his videos before. Yeah, I think I've seen his Lord of War video where he analyzed Yuri Orlov from Lord of War, but I haven't seen much of his other ones. Thank you, Glover. But yeah, it's I will say that I will say that Hitler and Stalin and Mao Zedong is, we should all just be happy in general that all these guys are dead and they're gone, because the world is a better place without them. Also, there's one other dictator that that people are not talking about in this time period, Tojo, who was the shogun of Japan. He was responsible for millions of deaths. Also, that was a really horrible guy. Mao Zedong, people in China say he did more good than bad. And it's because people in China are not allowed to say that he did bad. You're a legit history teacher at this point, Pro. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Joker. I would say Vito Corleone probably has to be the least evil mob boss that I've ever seen. Like, in any kind of movie, Vito Corleone has to be the least evil mafia boss. Like, and the thing about Vito Corleone is, I don't think Vito Corleone, you could even say he's evil. You could make the argument he's bad, but he is the least worst mafia boss that I've ever seen, like in any movie. That was probably an accident. The suit looks really nice on you. Keep on the nice costumes. Thank you, Teo. Thank you for the super chat. What year were you born? 1994. The worst mafia boss in movies? The most evil mafia boss in movies? I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. What's your job outside YouTube? I own 2 rental properties. A guy went to Ukraine to visit his girlfriend and got arrested by Russian police. He's in his 50s. That's horrible. That's... But still, I understand it's to visit his girlfriend, but why would you visit, Ukraine, especially when it's in the middle of a war zone right now, too? That's not a good idea to do. But hopefully he can get released. You have a lot of patience. Any tips or tricks? The most evil character in The Sopranos is probably Ralph or Richie. Ralph or Richie. Well, Brian became a really annoying and scummy character. Yeah, Brian became annoying. Olivia is also bad. I've been trying to work out 3 days a week, Joker. Do you know what's the situation in Poland? Thank you, Mad, for the super chat. What currency is that? The ARS. Thank you, man. ARS. I'm just a bit confused on that one. But about the situation in Poland, what I can tell you is I've talked to a lot of Polish people. I've talked to family members in Poland. People in Poland generally, from what I've talked to them about, they're not scared of like a Russian invasion. They're more concerned about what's going on next door, but they're not concerned that Russia is going to invade Poland. But they are but Polish people are more concerned with Belarus than they are with Russia, because Belarus, what Belarus has been doing is Belarus has basically been taking illegal immigrants from the Middle East. So from the Middle East, illegal immigrants come into Belarus. And what happens is when they come into Belarus, Belarus basically robs them and steals all their money and their passports. And what they do is the Belarusian army puts them on trucks and then sends them to the Polish border. And then pushes them across into Poland and tells them to go cross into Poland. And that's why there's been so much illegal immigration from Belarus into Poland. Most of the people coming in from Belarus into Poland are not from Belarus. They come in from other countries. Belarus has robbed them, and then it's pushing the illegal immigrants into Poland to try to destabilize Poland. And that's pissing off like a lot of Polish people. I know that. Could you help me after converted? Sure I can, Carlos. Okay. I should play Condemned Criminal Origins. I could play that game one day. Oh, thank you, Anand, for sponsoring the channel. Carlos, how many businesses do you have to sell? Okay, I'll see you, Mikey. Take care, man. 4, okay. And speaking of Tojo, why doesn't he get much views than Hitler or Stalin? Well, I will tell you, the reason that Tojo is probably not talked about as much like during World War II is because people focus too much on the European theater, which the European theater was extremely important, don't get me wrong, but sometimes people think that the war was only going on in Europe. They don't think that there was a war going on anywhere else. Where Japan, if you look at a map, Imperial Japan conquered as much territory as Germany did. They invaded so many countries, Korea, China, Vietnam, Laos, Burma, Cambodia, Mongolia, is Taiwan. So there's literally Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong. There's even more countries that I could probably list on here. Papua New Guinea. So there's so many countries that the Japanese invaded, and it's not. People oftentimes think that the Tojo was the shogun. People think the war in the Pacific was not as big as the war in Europe. When the war in Pacific might have been a little smaller than the war in Europe, but it was still a considerably sized conflict. It's MAD is Marsoff. RS is Argentina peso. Android converts prices to local currencies, unlike iOS. Oh, okay. Okay, MAD. Oh, in your country, Argentina, Javier Milei is the president of Argentina, and Javier Milei is a very unique president, because he is the only president in the world that is considered a libertarian. So Argentina is the only country in the world where a libertarian has ever won as president. But hopefully he does a good job and he fixes the economy in Argentina. I'll be reviewing the PS5 Pro, yes. Yes, I'll play Fears to Fathom, the Woodbury Getaway, the one I'll play. Converted, how many more businesses do you have to sell? I hope everything's okay during your surgery, Giorno. But what I was saying is, I will tell you guys, I was on a, there was this one channel that talks about history and stuff like that, and I was in the looking at the comment section where he was talking about the battles in France, when America was liberating France, and what happened is I saw a lot of these ridiculous comments popping up where like people were saying, oh, the World War II was won by the USSR, not the US. And like people were saying like 90% of the battles won was because of the USSR, like the Soviet Union, and like saying stuff like that. And like I will tell you guys, is when I see comments like that, it really pisses me off, because when I see people say that the US single-handedly won World War II, that pisses me off. And when I see comments of people saying, oh, Russia won World War II all on its own, that pisses me off too. Because the Soviet Union didn't win World War II. America didn't win World War II. The Allies won World War II. That's who won World War II, the Allies. And it's a team effort. And I hate when people like brag and like try to show off and saying, oh, my country, won the majority of the battles. Like people, and it's the Americans and the Russians are typically the people that do this the most, where they will like show off and they'll say like, oh, America won World War II all on its own, or like Russians will say, oh, America, Russia won World War II all on its own. And the thing about this is, whenever I see those Russian comments, they always refer to the Soviet Union as Russia, but the Soviet Union was made up of so many different nationalities, Russians, Ukrainians, Belarusians, Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians, Kazakhs, Tajiks, Uzbekis, Kyrgyzstanis, Chechens, Dagestanis, Ossetians, Armenians, Georgians. So like there's so many different nationalities, Tatars, that were in the Soviet Union, and all of these nationalities fought in the Red Army. There were so many Central Asian and Siberian soldiers that fought. And by saying that like Russia won World War II, you're also like disrespecting all the other veterans that were in the Red Army that were not Russians. Russians were the largest group, sure, but the Red Army was such a multinational army. So it wasn't Russia, it was the Soviet Union. I'm not a communist or anything, but I'm just referring to it as the Soviet Union because that's what the country was at the time, and it was made up of multiple nationalities. So, so technically Soviet Union is not Russia? No, the Soviet Union is not Russia, despite what people think. Russia was one of the republics in the Soviet Union, the socialist republics, but it was the largest one. It had the highest population. But the Soviet Union was made up of multiple nationalities. Like the Soviet Union's population, I think the Soviet Union was like, the population was like 250 million, something like that. And when the Soviet Union collapsed, like Russia's population, I think is like 150 million or 140 million, like around that. So they had an extra 100 million people that were not Russians that lived in the Soviet Union. So that's what I would say about it. It was controlled by Moscow. It was mostly run by Russians. The government was mostly Russian, but it was multinational. But basically, what I'm getting at, and thank you, Nikki, for the super chat. What I'm getting at with this is that here's the thing: is if America fought World War II on its own, right? And if America fought against Japan and Germany and Italy on its own, America would have lost. If the Soviet Union fought on its own against Germany and Italy, and Japan probably would have eventually invaded them from the Far East, they would have lost too. So it wasn't like this World War II is not a popularity contest. World War II was a team effort. It was the Allies won. And I hate that so much when people say like, oh, the Soviet Union won World War II all on its own. Or they'll say like America won World War II all on its own. It's stupid. And I do concede that the largest battles did happen on the Eastern Front, but you also have to remember that Stalin was asking for a second front to be opened. He was begging for a second front to be opened so that it would give him breathing room. The purpose of the Allies landing in Italy was to give Stalin more breathing room. It was that extra front opened up for Stalin. And North Africa was being fought before the Germans invaded the Soviet Union. And so the North African theater, the Italian theater, and the French theater, all of those took away troops that would have been used on the Eastern Front against the Soviet Union. So that relieved the Soviet Union of that pressure, of that extra pressure. Sure, the battles in the Eastern Front were the biggest, but, tell that to a D-Day veteran, that, like, what they went through was like a cakewalk. Like, I saw this one comment that really pissed me off, where, like, one guy wrote, like, what the Americans went through was a cakewalk compared to the Soviet soldiers. Like, tell that to an American soldier that, like, went through D-Day, or tell that to, like, an American soldier that, like, went through, like, 115 degrees on, like, Peleliu with no water. So it's like, acting like Americans had like a cakewalk in World War II is just, nonsense. So it's like, ultimately it was a team effort. And while the Soviet Union might be the biggest reason that Germany lost during World War II, is they aren't the sole reason. It was still ultimately a team effort, and without all the other countries helping, the Soviet Union would not have been able to defeat Germany. It was also the Land-Lease, where the U.S. had sent like thousands of tanks, planes, and supplies to the Soviet Union. Even Nikita Khrushchev, who was Stalin's successor, had said that without the Land-Lease, we would have lost without that. And also Zhukov, who was the most decorated Soviet commander during World War II, said without Land-Lease, we would have lost World War II. And the thing is, though, is that I replied to this one guy once, right? he left a comment saying, the Soviet Union won World War II all on its own. And I said to him, you're acting like the entire war happened in the Soviet Union. What about the Pacific? What about the fact that Imperial Japan had conquered, most of East Asia? What about that? You're acting like that didn't happen. And he basically said that, the Imperial Japanese were easy to defeat compared to the Germans. So, the Americans didn't have to go through much. What? It's no. It's like if you were an American soldier, you would have preferred to fight against the Germans in France and Italy versus fighting against the Japanese. The Pacific is the worst front that you could be an American soldier in. It was the worst one. That was the Pacific theater was like the Eastern Front for Americans during World War II. So it was no. It was and here's the thing is, people oftentimes think that the Germans were the tougher enemy for America to defeat in World War II because Germany was more technologically advanced than Japan. But just because Germany was more technologically advanced than Japan does not mean that Germany was the tougher enemy to fight. Do you know what Japan had? And I'm gonna ask this in the comments. I'm curious if anybody knows the answer to this. Does anybody here in the comments know the one thing that Japan had that Germany didn't, especially at the end of the war? It was the one thing that made Japan so much tougher to beat than Germany. Does anybody know what that one thing that Japan had that Germany did not have? Not as much of. Go over 1 mile left in this next drop here. Exactly. Zombie Fanatic and General's Alert are right here. And also, Bustio, you're also right with Pride. Is the Japanese were not scared to die. That's the thing about them. The Japanese were going to fight till the very end. That's the difference between the Japanese and the Germans. The German soldiers who fought till the very end, even when they knew it was hopeless, were the SS. And that's because the SS were the most fanatical to Hitler. They were the most, they supported the Nazi regime the most. They saw Hitler almost like a god, and so they were the most fanatical to him. They were the guys who fought to the end. But if you just look at the Wehrmacht, for example, the Wehrmacht was mass surrendering near the end of World War II. Even in the Normandy landings, they were mass surrendering. If Japan was the one we fought at Normandy instead of Germany, we would not have had mass surrenders from Japan, from Germany. Germany, there was massive pockets of troops that would surrender. If we fought the Japanese at Normandy, they would have fought till the very last man until we completely boxed them in. So that's the difference, is that the Germans might have had better technology than the Japanese, but the Japanese had stronger willpower. They had a stronger desire to fight. By the time of 1945, it was already January, February, March, April 1945. The vast majority of Germans knew at that point the war was lost. They had no chance to win the war. They could not turn it around. And so Germans were mass surrendering. They were. And what a lot of Germans did was they actually deserted. They deserted their units and they fled towards the Western Front. They fled towards the western side of Germany so that they could surrender to the Americans, because they knew if they surrendered to the Soviets, they could either get tortured, executed, or sent to a gulag. So they were a lot of Germans were fleeing towards the western part of the country and just surrendering to the Americans. So they were giving up. At the end of the war, the Germans were giving up. They didn't want to fight anymore. They were giving up. They knew that it was a lost cause. But in Imperial Japan, on the other hand, the Japanese saw the emperor as a god, and they believed in their religion that if you died, you would be united with nature. You would be one with nature. But if you surrendered, surrender was the worst thing that you could do. It was worse than death. Because if you surrendered, you dishonored the emperor. You made a pledge to fight for the emperor. You dishonored the emperor. You dishonored your god. You dishonored your family. You dishonored your entire family's legacy. And so it would bring great shame to your family if you were taken as a prisoner of war. And also, the Japanese soldiers who came back from World War II that were prisoners of war were treated like garbage. They were just treated like absolute garbage. They were just so spit at. The Japanese civilians hated them. After World War II, the Japanese who had surrendered, they blamed them for Japan's defeat in World War II. And the Japanese did not mass surrender. There was a few soldiers that surrendered, but most of the Japanese that came back from the war alive, those were Japanese soldiers that actually did fight till the very end, but they were wounded. So they were shot in combat and then they were rescued. They were the Americans would win the battle and find some wounded Japanese soldiers and just nurse them back to health. That's basically it. They didn't necessarily surrender. They just got hit in combat and they couldn't fight anymore, and then they got captured. But that's basically it. That's why I would always say that the toughest enemy that America has ever fought in its history, the toughest enemy, has always been Imperial Japan. And I will say that, the toughest, in all of America's history, the toughest enemy that we've ever fought is Imperial Japan. A lot of people think it's the Viet Cong, But there's a big difference between the Viet Cong and the Imperial Japanese. The difference is the Viet Cong wanted to live. That's the difference. The Viet Cong would retreat. They would escape from an area. They would want to live. They want to live to fight another day. The Imperial Japanese didn't want to live. They would fight to the very last man. They would sacrifice themselves. They would suicide bomb themselves. They would fly into planes into ships. So that's what I would say about the Japanese, that the Japanese was the toughest enemy that we've ever fought in American history. Because if you really think about it, fighting an enemy that has nothing to live for and sees their leader as a god and will blow themselves up and sacrifice themselves for a god, that's literally the toughest enemy that you can fight. Something like that. And about Imperial Japan is that Imperial Japan was not just an evil empire, but they were the largest cult in history. When you really think about it, what was the largest cult in history? It was Imperial Japan. Imperial Japan was the largest cult in history. The fact that millions of Japanese were willing to sacrifice themselves for the emperor, were willing to, they were willing to do bayonet charges when they knew they were going to get gunned down. Like, imagine that, running out in the middle of the open, doing a bayonet charge, knowing that you're going to get gunned down because you're going to sacrifice yourself for the god, for the emperor. You're going to fly planes into ships, do kamikaze attacks because you're going to sacrifice yourself for the emperor. You're going to pretend to surrender, but then suicide bomb yourself and blow up all the American troops next to you for the emperor. So, like, when you had soldiers that would do stuff like that, that tells me Imperial Japan is not just an empire; it's also a cult. It's the largest cult in history. So that's what I would say about Imperial Japan. That's what people don't understand about it. So honestly, when I see like comments from like people saying that, oh, the Americans had it easy in World War II and the Russians had it the worst, and the Russians did the majority. Well, who defeated Imperial Japan? If the Soviet Union gets credit for defeating Germany, then the U.S. gets credit for defeating Japan. And the U.S. also helped against, Germany as well. France and Italy. And the U.S. was largely responsible for Italy collapsing in World War II. And the Soviet Union did help against Japan as well. They didn't help throughout the majority of the conflict, but at the very end of the conflict, in 1945, the Soviets launched an offensive in Manchuria, and they did help with that. It was helping bring the war to a close. So it's like, personally, it just, honestly, it pisses me off so much when, like, people say, like, oh, America didn't have to go through much in World War II, when they don't even consider the Pacific Front. They act like the Pacific Front was, like, nothing. Like it was easy. It's like, no. It's like, if I was an American fighting in World War II, I would much rather fight in France or Italy than fight in the Pacific, 100%. I do not want to fight in the Pacific, 100%, never. It's like the Pacific is just absolute hell on earth. That is the worst part of the war to fight in as an American. So ultimately, the point that I'm getting at with my my rant here is that World War II was a team effort. And when people say that the Soviet Union won World War II by itself, it's like, no, the Soviet Union did not win World War II. The U.S. did not win World War II by itself. The U.S. didn't win World War II. The Soviet Union didn't win World War II. The Allies won World War II. It was a massive team effort, and without everybody working together and everybody helping each other, we would have been screwed, and the Axis would have won. And so these evil empires, Italy, Japan and Germany, are gone because of the Allies. These empires don't exist anymore today. They're gone because the Allies defeated them and they stopped them and they helped bring world peace. So that's all I'll say about that. And also is you have to also remember all the other countries that fought. Poland, France, Czechoslovakia. You have the Balkan countries, Yugoslavian countries. You have Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, and you have resistance movements in these countries. Polish resistance, French resistance, Czechoslovakian resistance, Yugoslavian resistance. The Yugoslavian resistance were the toughest resistance in World War II. They were the toughest ones. They defeated Germany. The Yugoslavians liberated their country. Their resistance was the toughest. And also look at the Warsaw Uprising in Poland, where the Polish resistance, the Armia Krajowa, they tried to rebel against the Germans in Warsaw, but unfortunately it failed. So ultimately is and then also if you look at the Pacific, America didn't just defeat Japan on its own in the Pacific. America had help in the Pacific too. China, Korean resistance. They had help from Filipino resistance. They had help from the British, the Australians, and the largest battles in the Pacific were also happening in China. So China was going through a lot in that time too. So it was ultimately World War II was a global conflict that was ultimately a team effort. And when you hear people say, if you ever hear anybody say that America won World War II by itself or the Soviet Union won World War II by itself, do me a favor, call that person an idiot, because that's exactly what they are. World War II was a team effort, and it's not a popularity contest. It's not something to show off and say my country did all the work. It was everybody working together, to help defeat a side that was committing genocide and invading so many countries. see here. No, the Viet Cong are not like the Japanese, because the Viet Cong did not suicide bomb themselves like the Japanese did. Did you know that Zhukov was a fan of Coca-Cola? Yes, I knew that. Eisenhower also sent him Coca-Cola and a fishing pole. Eisenhower and Zhukov were actually friends. There was a German resistance, yeah. Well, what you had with Operation Valkyrie. Carlos, are you still here? I will help you, I'll help you when I'm done with this sale. Carlos, are you still here? Oh.
We are.
Okay, what? Oh, you're in Converted's MC. Okay, I was trying to figure out where you were. Have I seen the movie The Pianist? Yes. The Pianist is actually a true story. It's a really sad movie. Do I smoke or drink? No, neither one. I don't even drink beer. No, I haven't seen Oppenheimer. Did you leave a comment under my tweet, Jarno? Well, Shintoism did play a big role in that, Luca, in, you know, Imperial Japan's, you know, devotion to the Emperor. Oh, there was a super chat. I'm sorry. Which one would I rather visit, Finland or Poland? Well, I probably would want to visit Poland because I haven't been to Poland since 2010. I have family there, but I would be open to visiting Finland. I generally like colder climates, you know, countries that are colder, and so I would be open to visiting Finland. Who do you think is more dangerous, Charles Manson or Ted Bundy? Manson, because Manson led a cult of followers. Manson could have people still killing him for him, even when he's in prison. Thank you, Jacob, for the super chat. Converted, after this sale, I'm gonna help Carlos with his stuff. Did you know that Romania provided the most soldiers out of all the Axis nations aside from Germany, and also fueled the German war machine? About the soldiers, that I didn't know, but about the gasoline, I did know. That Romania, well, the Soviet Union was a huge part of Germany's gas supply before they invaded the Soviet Union. But when they invaded the Soviet Union, it was primarily Romania is where they got their gas from. Yes, you're right, Clover. Well, thank you, Storm. Man, this boat just got far away. Were you mad about what, Phoenix? I remember King in the Hill where they tried to flush Hank's dad ashes down the toilet, did a war debate in the bar, and vets from each other argue. Some were saying the Russians did all the fighting. Uh-oh. Well, like I said, I never understood this idea of just saying the Soviet Union or the US won World War II by itself. It was a team effort. It was the Allies won World War II. Yes, Fernando is right. Because Manson led a cult. No, I haven't, Giorno. What do you think the claim is that Finland is the most happiest country in Europe? It's believable. They have high standards of living in Finland. Yeah, I believe it. When's the next part of World at War? I'll try to have it out tonight. Oh, what? He just left? What happened? Yes, I believe it did, Luca. Did you know that the Columbine killers made school project reports on Charles Manson and Nazi Germany respectively? That I didn't know. Thank you, Jacob, for the super chat. Okay, let's help Carlos. Can somebody help, Como? Can somebody help him? Venge and Logan, and, could you guys help him? Because he needs help selling, too. Yeah, I still have fun, playing. I don't know what happened to him. Can you help Como? He's the kind of blue CEO there, the rank 519 by himself. Can you help him? Carlos, can you invite me to the business? Thank you, Calvin. Okay, Carlos, no problem. I like Black Ops 6. I hope I continue enjoying the story. What's the most miserable country to live in? North Korea. Well, there was a crime game set in the 40s. It was Mafia 2. Then it got set in the 50s later on, but... Worst event in human history, World War II. What's the safest country to live in? Oh. Probably Finland or maybe Japan. When will I make a video about my cosplay closet? One day. Where can I find a PS3? Check pawn shops and Facebook Marketplace. You probably could find a deal on one.
We on?
Wait, where are the boats? Where? Damn. Oh, it's all the way down there. Okay, hold on. Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption 1. Red Dead Redemption 1 holds a bigger place in my heart. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is the superior game, but Red Dead Redemption 1 is definitely a great game as well. Oh great, the Raiju's, okay, I'll use the Molotov then. Is there another channel where you're doing the history stuff? Not really. No, I just commented on my regular channel. Okay. Tell us about Chinatown Wars. Chinatown Wars was a fun game. I enjoyed it. You should play Cry of Fear for Halloween. Well, I'm gonna play Fears the Fathom, but I haven't heard of that one. What is that one, Clover? What's my favorite character in Skyrim? Also, what do you think of No Country for Old Men? My favorite character in Skyrim would probably... be the, probably be that red guard that's in the Dark Brotherhood. I forget his name. No Country for Old Men. Well, I think people missed the message in that movie that the heroes don't always win. Nazir was his name? No, well, I think the really disappointing thing about the really disappointing thing about Franklin's story is I think like they kind of hyped up this Grove Street storyline with Franklin. Like if you watch the Franklin story trailer, it makes it seem like the Grove Street thing is going to be a big part of the story, but in reality it's only a couple missions, that's it. It's not like San Andreas, where San Andreas is a huge chunk of the story. Nazir, yeah, I think Nazir. Thank you for the super chat, Jacob. Bro, what Fallout faction would you have joined if you were in that world? In Fallout 4, probably the Minutemen. In Fallout 3, probably Brotherhood of Steel. In Fallout New Vegas, Mr. House. Fallout 76, I have to think about that one. Hargan takes place in Sweden. Oh. Yeah, I could probably play GTA 4 again. I want to do lore videos again on GTA 4, but... okay, here we go. Two drops left only, okay. Free on Steam, huh? Have I ever played the game Left 4 Dead 2? Yes, I have. What faction would I join in Skyrim? Probably neither of them. Maybe the only faction I would consider joining the Companions, but yeah, the Stormcloaks and the Imperials have issues. I don't think that that they will sell the Saints Row IP, even though it's pretty much dead.
Cryptoke.
Okay, I'll see you, Mark. Wait, what event are you talking about, Luca? Okay, I'll look Giorno after. I joined a College of Winterhold to become a powerful wizard, No, I never did like bodybuilding contests. I did like work out like 3 times a week, but I used to. Oh no, I used to. Wait, what's Carlos doing? Oh, he's okay. I was a bit confused for a second there. There are times in history where people will call something a massacre, but it's a genocide. There's, for example, a lot of people call they refer to it as the Volyn massacre that happened in Poland, but most Polish people refer to it as the Volyn genocide. I see it as genocide, personally. It's But what happened with like the Nanjing massacre in China, a lot of people call that a massacre. You could argue that's genocide too. That's. I joined the companions in the Stormcloaks. Okay, Jacob, thank you for the super chat. I don't know about the Stormcloaks though. It's like I don't like the Empire, but I don't know about the Stormcloaks too. Do you think in World at War and real life footage was mostly accurate? Mostly. There's one scene in World at War that's historically inaccurate. The World War II footage they use, there's like an error in one of the World War II clips. And I will talk about it. It's one of the Russian missions. Like one of the clips they use is not historically accurate on the and I will basically, I know what the clip is from, but basically what the clip is there's this one scene in the Soviet campaign where you see like a giant like Nazi swastika get blown up, and that's like real footage. And what happens is in that, like, when people watch that scene, they think that the Soviets did that because all of that footage is like Soviet World War II footage. But the reality of it is that big swastika that gets blown up, that's from the Nuremberg rally, and that's when the Americans took Nuremberg and they blew up the giant swastika that was on there, but it didn't show the U.S. blowing it up. It just shows the swastika get blown up. And a lot of people, because of that cutscene in the game, a lot of people think that the Soviets were the ones who blew up that giant swastika, but it was the Americans who did that. So that was one thing that I thought was wrong in the cutscene World at War. Which it was a good thing they blew it up, but I'm just saying is that when you put that cutscene of like American soldiers blowing up the swastika in like a Soviet cutscene, most people are gonna think the Soviets did that when it was the Americans who blew that up. Yeah, they called it Indochina when it's supposed to be called just China. That was wrong in World at War. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Well, thank you, Storm. Yes, a lot of people have asked me to play Black Ops 2 before. Thank you, Rafi, for subscribing. Yes, next World at War mission is the tank mission. Typical American traffic right here. What? I have that stupid scuba mask still on, too. For some reason, in World at War cutscene, you can see a modern-day Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. Wait, what? Well, which cutscene is that in? Was Call of Duty World War II accurate? The campaign? To an extent, yeah, pretty accurate, but the multiplayer, no. Who had the worst navy in World War II? That's a good question. Who did have the worst navy in World War II? Some people might say Italy, but Italy had really effective PT boats during World War II. So Italy had the best PT boat of World War II, so it's not Italy. But the worst navy of World War II? I don't know. Can anyone answer that question? What country had the worst navy in World War II? That's a question I don't know. Wait, why Arturo? China? Maybe China. Maybe. Yep. That's good, Jacob. I hope everything goes good for you, man. Between China and France. The second mission. Okay, Sir RJ. Yeah, the campaign in World at War is great, Anthony. Did Poland have a navy? I'm sure it did. Oh, actually it did, but, yeah. I don't know that much about it. I'll probably give the precinct a try when it comes out. Can I ask for advice? Sure. What's your question, Phoenix? How to get XP fast in GTA Online. It's, you buy 5 warehouses and you buy 1 crate at a time to it, and you, yeah. You buy 1 crate at a time and you sell it. And then you just keep, find new sessions, spawn in the office, and just keep doing that over and over again. I don't know if they could ever make a game better than World at War. I'd like to see a remake of World at War. What's for dinner, Pat? I don't know yet. I'd have to look. I'll probably get something to eat afterwards, Keyshawn. Yeah, I feel like World at War would have some censorship. I could a little later, Golden. No, Friday we'll do Red Dead, because we didn't do Red Dead last Friday.
What the fuck?
Besides Micah, what member of the Vanderlyn gang do you hate the most? Probably Strauss, because it's just the horrible debt that he put people in, the horrible things that he did. Bill Williamson is a pretty big scumbag too, Jacob. Thank you for the super chat, yeah. Bill Williamson or Strauss. Yeah, Bill was like committing horrible massacres in 1911. Dutch I kind of really did hate too, yeah. But if you're just counting like members of the gang, I didn't think we were counting Dutch. If we count Dutch, then yeah. And Dutch is to blame. Dutch is to blame also for Strauss's debts, because Dutch could have told him at any point to stop, but he didn't want to. He didn't want to because he was getting a lot of money from it. Yeah, Dutch never thought that he was wrong. Yeah, I haven't seen those infinite loading screens in a long time. The Austrian accountant and the fat, drunk, yeah. Do you think Micah hated Arthur John? Oh, absolutely. 100%. problem, Casey. Ready for the next sale, Carlos.
That's a successful sale. Drop what you're doing.
No, no, come on. Oh, man. You've got to be kidding me. Come on, why this crap now? When and where did the Cold and Vietnam War start, and who would win, India or Japan in a war? The Cold War started really in 1945, like right at the end of it. Like, right, there was already disputes near the end of the year. And it ended in 1991. The Vietnam War technically started in the 1950s when the French tried to colonize Vietnam again. Then Vietnam broke up into two countries, North and South Vietnam. And as for the last part of your question, who would win in a war, India or Japan? That's a ridiculous thing, because India and Japan would never be in a war. It just makes no sense. Whenever you do the heist, can I help if I'm still on? Well, I'm probably not going to do a heist tonight. I'm probably going to get some food after I finish helping Carlos. We'll probably do a heist next week. Blinded Eagle. Let's get over to the truck here containing the product. No, Assad, you wanna get a better bunker because it's too far. No one would win that war, Golden, because Japan would not have the resources to invade India, and India wouldn't have the resources probably to invade Japan at the end too. So it's no one would win that war. Probably Vercetti gang is probably a stronger one, Giorno. Is going to college at 20 bad? No. No, who told you that? I've seen people go to college when they're in their 40s. So it's not bad. It's like, who's to judge? It's like honestly, it's like if anybody judges, you tell them to mind their own business. That's stupid if somebody would judge you for that. But Vision, I will tell you this, is you don't even need to go to college, dude. It's like, it depends on what you want to do. Like, depends on the career that you want to follow. Like, people can go to trade school, learn trades, and, you know, and then eventually start their own business and make a decent amount of money. So you don't necessarily need college to be successful, but, you know, don't think that going to college in your 20s is bad either. How do you think about the Greys and the Braithwaites found out about who the Vanderlyn gang were? Well, I don't know if they knew exactly who they were, but they knew that they were like a third party that was playing both of them. Yeah, I'll have the next part of San Andreas tonight also. Who had more morals, CJ or Franklin? Probably CJ because, no, Franklin, because Franklin didn't do stuff like remember what CJ did to Mad Dog? Franklin didn't do something like that. I don't want to be a cop anymore, Vision. Or if you want to be a cop, you mean. I thought you were talking about me for a moment. if you want to be a cop, you don't really need college. No, you don't. Um, uh, yeah, you wouldn't really need it. It's I think some districts it would help you, but it really depends. I think if you want to like become like a police chief, I think you need some college, but other than that, you don't. Well, how do you think they find out? Because it's there's like this group of people they don't know that's going around causing chaos for both sides, and both sides have had massive losses. I don't think it would be that difficult for them to figure out. And also, you have to remember that the Greys and the Braithwaites have a lot of sources. They know a lot of people. In World War II, Germany wanted to invade the U.S. Germany didn't have the resources to invade the U.S. in World War II. Germany did actually experiment with attacking America. They actually made this plane called the America Bomber, which was like a plane that could actually fly all the way across the ocean and bomb America. But it was just they thought that it was just too much resources. And German U-boats did attack New York City.
All right.
Carlos, can you please take my Molotov right there and just make us fly faster? Can you do that? Thank you, Harris, for the super chat. What happened to those U-boats that hit New York City? I don't know what happened to the U-boats, but German submarines actually came to New York City and they bombed New York City. A lot of people don't know that. So German submarines actually sunk several ships in the New York harbors. So like they bombed ships, like they torpedoed several ships, and then they went back across the ocean. Just look up on Google German submarines attack New York, and it'll come up right away. A lot of people don't know about it because Pearl Harbor was a much bigger attack, but New York did get bombed by Germany during World War II. It just was from submarines, not from planes. We have to wait for Brandon? Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna start flying. Operation Teardrop? Oh, I don't know what it was called. I don't know, Giorno. Carlos, how many sales after this one? Why did they invade Switzerland in World War I and World War II? Because Switzerland really gave them whatever they wanted. So when they wanted to bank with Switzerland, they would, Switzerland would agree to it. Yeah, that's the thing. Did you guys laugh at that scene with Sweet's car in my San Andreas video? That was just Okay, Carlos. Why didn't the U.S. drop bombs in Berlin? They did. American planes bombed Berlin several times. I guess, but I wonder where their navy would be stationed, Zombie Fanatic. Oh, great. I missed, Do you have to go to college to become a writer? No. Can you do the New York accent? Hey, how you doing? Also, Dutch is responsible for most of the deaths of his members because he decided to listen to Mike over Arthur and because he couldn't stand anyone challenging his ego. Yep, I would agree with that. Thank you, Jacob, for the super chat. Dutch should have listened to Arthur several times. He also got the Native American tribe destroyed. You have to remember that, too. Favorite Ace Attorney villain? Either Gant or Von Karma. Hello, Mac. Hey, what's up? Maybe, but Dutch threw them in unnecessary conflict, and he got the chief's son killed. Do you think Atlanta could be a good GTA city? Well, they already had Atlanta in Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. It was an open world city in a Rockstar game. That's where my family moved out to, like, when I was, like, 13, Francisco. But Long Island is generally a nice place, but the taxes are just so insane. They probably agreed to some kind of truce, but it was fake. That's probably what happened. Carlos, I already sold everything. Go and help the other planes. I already sold everything. I'm empty. That was pretty hard timing to do, but okay. I love your playthroughs of World at War, especially when you go into history. Thank you, Jimmers. Thank you, man. And there's still gonna be more of that. I can help you possibly later, Golden. I think the Great Ace Attorney is better than Apollo Justice, but Apollo Justice was also pretty good. Dallas? GTA game that would be set in Texas. Yeah, that could work.
Hey, vato, sorry I didn't call you back. Oh man, it was just a little blur.
Well, Louisiana is in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's in that one. Well, that's all up to personal preference, Francisco. If you ever want to go to a concert, recommend coming to Sweden Rock Festival. I was there in June this year while my leg was still very much injured. Oh, well, oh, the bikes. This one's easy mission. I'm glad that you made a recovery, Jacob. I don't think I've ever really been to a concert in my life. I'm not much into it personally. If I listen to music, I'll just listen to it online, but Sting, it's the rock band, right? Yeah. I know it's the ambush. Any real estate advice? Well, I personally really like rental properties. If I can acquire like a property that I think would be a great rental property for a great price, I'll take the deal. How do you handle the criticism for not going to college? You ignore it. Vision is oh, I'm glad you had fun, Chaz. It's honestly, I will tell you this. I will tell you this. Anybody who judges you for not going to college is an idiot. That's what I will say about that. It's like people don't have the right to judge. If people don't want to go to college, they don't want to go to college. It's better to if you force somebody to go to college that doesn't want to go to college, it's going to be worse for them. So that's what I'll say about that is you know, and who's criticizing you, Vision? Who's doing this to you? Is this like close friends or family? I'm not trying to insult your family or anything like that, but I'm just saying is don't listen to the people that are like, you know, telling you that like, you know, they criticize you for not going to college. It's stupid. That's like, it's like plenty of people, they don't go to college and they're successful. I will tell you this college disease has like infected people's brains like so badly where like people think that if you don't go to college, they think that you're like a delinquent and a loser if you don't go to college. That's like what people think. And it's such a stupid thing. When I was growing up as a kid, it wasn't this bad. Like when I was a teenager, if you didn't want to go to college, it wasn't that big of a deal. But like now these days, it's like if you don't go to college, they think that you're some kind of idiot. And it's don't listen to those people. Well, just because you don't go to college doesn't mean that you can't be educated. You can go to a trade school. In trade school, you can learn a valuable trade, and you can you can learn a valuable trade, and work for like a company, like become a plumber, work for a company for like a number of years, and then after that start your own business. So that's what I'll say about that. And ultimately, here's the thing: is a job is a job. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're getting paid for it, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. As long as you're not hurting anybody and you're not breaking the law, it doesn't matter how you make money. So that's what I'll say about that. It's like I think people are too judgmental. Relatives, and I'm tired of them. Well, tell them to mind their own business. If you don't want to go to college, you don't want to go to college. And also think about it this way, that I'll tell you something. I had an argument once online with this guy who was basically saying that, all college loans should be forgiven. And while I wasn't necessarily disagreeing with him, I basically said, then you would agree with me that we should forgive small business loans for people who didn't go to college, right? And he said, no, we shouldn't. And I'm like, why not? He's like, well, it's like, I'm trying to see. He said that people went to college, and when people go to college, that an educated, populace benefits everyone. But, people who go to, people who start up their own businesses are not benefiting society. And I was like, somebody who starts up their own small business is not benefiting society, but somebody who's going to college benefiting society? I don't understand. People who start up businesses, and they make good businesses, they give back to their communities, they provide good services, good prices, and they help their communities. I know they're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart, but good businesses help communities. And so, when I hear, I heard that guys tell me that, that college graduates contribute to the contribute to society, but businesses don't. And so if you are going to forgive student loans, if you're going to do that, you have to forgive loans for if there was a kid who didn't go to high school, didn't go to college, right, and he got a loan to start up his own business. If you are going to forgive somebody for getting a loan for going to college, you have to forgive that kid for getting a loan to start up his own business as well, because that's not fair. It's like somebody goes to college, they're going to get, forgiven, but somebody who gets a business to, a loan to start up their business aren't going to get forgiven. Why does that person who go to college deserve forgiveness for their loans, but the person who gets a loan for their business doesn't? And also on top of that, people who start up businesses have the most to risk than college students, because their entire business could fail. They could lose everything. So that's what I'll say about that. So I just don't understand this logic, how people want college loans to be forgiven, but they don't want business loans to be forgiven. So if somebody gets a loan for starting a small business, they deserve to be forgiven as well then. It's about ultimately what you want to do. And I will tell you this: there are people, and Vision, just so you know, you're not alone in this boat. There are people in my family that don't even know what I do for a living. What I basically tell my family members, what I basically tell them, a lot of my family members that ask me what I do for a living, I tell them that I do the stock market and I run rental properties, and that's not necessarily false. I don't really do stocks anymore. I more keep my money in Robinhood Gold, APY, but I did do the stock market at one point. But basically, I tell them I do stocks and I do rental properties, and they accept that. But they don't know that most of my money comes from YouTube. They don't know that's my main source of income. And so the reason I don't tell my family members, the reason I don't tell them, is because a lot of my family members would be toxic. And I know people are going to say, well, you don't know that. I know them. And I know that if I basically, they're extreme college elitists. They basically think that, if you don't go to college, you're going to be an idiot, you're going to be a loser for the rest of your life. And if I told them that I'm a YouTuber, they would laugh at that. They think, oh, he's a joke. All he does is he just plays video games. He's a loser. That's what some of my family members would say to me. And they would talk behind my back. So I know them. And that's precisely why I don't, tell my family members I'm a YouTuber. Because it's just going to be constant mockery. And it's going to be constant drama. And so that's why I just, I leave it. My parents know that I do YouTube. They know that, but no one else in my family knows that. Not one other person in my family knows what I do. Okay. Pat, imagine how police would be in GTA 6, and it would be cool if you see a cutscene of them breaching your property and they did pit maneuvers. Well, I don't know if they're gonna be that, advanced, but I think the police are gonna be able to pop your tires, they have the little spike strips. I think they'll definitely have that. Thank you, Golan. I bet the College of Winterhold holds that as well. The thing is that the College of Winterhold in GTA, not GTA, in Skyrim, they look down on the people in Winterhold. Like, they look down on them. They think that they're stupid when they destroyed their own town. And the thing about that is that the College of Winterhold is really lucky that the people in the town did not destroy the college. Because, like, that college destroyed half of the town. So, like, with their stupid experiments. So they do look down on the town. They think that they're just a bunch of peasants. And they're, like, you know, smart mages. But their stupid magic basically destroyed half the town. If the phony war didn't happen in World War II, there was a good chance that the war would end quicker. The phony war, are you talking about when France, like, invaded parts of Germany and, like, pushed into Germany? Is that, like, what you're talking about, like, in 1939? Like, September 1939? Is that what you're talking about, Mr. Jesus? No, Trees. But anyways, Vision, the point that I'm getting at is if you want to go to college, if you want to do trade school, or if you don't want to do either of those, that's ultimately your decision. Whatever you do is ultimately your decision, and don't listen to, you know, family members that tell you you need to go to college. If you don't want to, then it's your choice. And don't think that just because you don't go to college, you're not going to be successful. There are things that people can do. Like, I mean, like one easy business people can do is they can start up a vending machine business. Like, you can buy vending machines on, like, you know, Facebook Marketplace, and then, you know, call up businesses, place them in, buy, you know, snacks from, you know, online or, you know, stores, and then just resell them. And, you know, that's a way to make money too. So, like, honestly, if you're making money in a legitimate way, you're not breaking the law. You know, money is money. So that's so it's like, it doesn't matter. This is not like royalist France where the aristocrats are going to be judging you, like, and looking down on you. So, like, just ignore these people. That's all I say. You have the right to do whatever you want. What's the Russian sleep experiment? I've heard about that before. I actually don't know anything about that. I don't know if that's real either. I haven't heard much about it. Well, Mr. Jesus, I would actually argue if France actually pushed more into Germany, then they could have actually taken Berlin, because Alfred Jodl, who was one of Hitler's top generals, said that they were not expecting a French invasion at all from the western side. They were not prepared for that. They had no troops there. They had none ready for that. And basically, what happened is that if the French kept pushing, they might have actually even reached Berlin. So that's a possibility, but they pulled out too early, and it was just Germany was able to regain their forces, and it was bad. No, I read his super chat on the police, Jacob. Thanks, bro. Can I add you to talk more about it? Sure. Can you tell me what your PSN is? What is this right here? I haven't really seen this car drive around before. Yeah, I can't even take it. I think it's like part of a mission or something. What's your PSN vision? And guys, I guess I'll be probably wrapping up the stream here. I know we didn't do a heist today, but we did a long stream, and I'm kind of hungry. I haven't eaten dinner, so I think I'll wrap it up here. But I'll answer any questions people might have before I go here, though. I think Missouri is what you're thinking of, Assassin. Wait, what, Chasseroni? Yeah, your super chat on, the Russian sleep experiment. I don't know if that was real or not. And then, I never heard much about it. And then you asked me if you could see the police breaching the property in GTA 6. I don't know. They might have, like, a mission like that, but it's only gonna be unique to the place. It's not gonna be, like, I don't think it's gonna be them, like, coming to your house. Probably tomorrow, Gunner. I've just been so busy. Did Vision ever tell me his PSN? maybe today, if not today, tomorrow, the next part of World at War. But I'll definitely have another part of San Andreas. San Andreas will have another part of it tonight.
You're gonna die, bitch! What a pansy!
No, if the Soviet Union never invaded Poland, then Poland would have Poland probably would have lasted maybe a couple weeks longer against Germany, maybe held out until December, but they still would not have won. Germany was just too large of a military and just too advanced at the time. Okay, so I guess I'll be going here. I don't see Vision's comment, but thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. You guys are awesome. I always love you guys hanging out with me on these streams. You guys always cheer me up, put me in a good mood. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. And I will have another part of San Andreas up for you in a few hours. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.